Hi, I'm Dr. Alan Widener from Massage Chair Relief, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about where massage chairs are made. Now, I say made because some chairs will say made in Japan, made in the USA, made in China, made in Korea, but where are the chairs really made in? It's not as cut and dried as it maybe used to be. So for example, the majority of the massage chairs in our industry, the vast majority are made in China. China has been developing and engineering and manufacturing chairs for years. I'd say like decades. I started in this industry having my first massage chair, I think 2002, and that chair was it was a human touch chair, and that was made in, and they were really almost the only game in town at that time, but they were Chinese-made chairs. But at that same time, there was also Panasonic and Sanyo chairs, which were quote-unquote made in Japan. And but since that time, it's been a kind of a shift. The economy is a much more global economy now. So components to chairs are not all made in one place. So when we talk about a chair that's made in Japan, or that it's advertised as made in Japan, like the JP Medix Kumo, this chair is said to have been made in Japan. But the truth is that this chair the components were made in China primarily, and then they were exported to Japan, where the assembly, the testing, and the programming went on, and thus it was christened a made in Japan massage chair. There are other chairs like that, like the Oko chairs from Furniture for Life. What other chairs are there? I think those are, off the top of my head, those are the ones that we will typically see as the made in Japan chairs. Now, there are chairs that are made, a higher percentage are made in Japan, like for example the Cinca chairs. The Cinca chairs from a company called Johnson Wellness and Johnson Technologies. Those chairs, Johnson Wellness purchased a factory in Japan called Mount Fuji Medical, and they now create a large percentage of their newer chairs in that factory in Japan. And their latest model, the JP3000, has well over 70% of its components made in Japan. And we haven't seen that in a long, long time, not since Sanyo was bought out by Panasonic, and Panasonic stopped making their chairs in Japan and moved all their production to China. And that's 20 years that we've seen a chair that has that high of a percentage of Japanese components. Now, even the Chinese chairs are not 100% made in China. The vast majority of it is, but they have components that come in from Singapore, from Malaysia. You know, there might be little components, little pieces that are cheaper made in other countries, and when they're purchased in bulk for the manufacturing in China, the manufacturer will use those parts and bring them in. So now even the chairs that are quote-unquote made in China, even though maybe 90% of it is made in China, there's still components that the manufacturer brings in to complete the assembly of the chair, or the production of the chair. It now has components that are made in other countries. Now, made in Korea, same thing. You may have heard of the Body Friend chairs, or the Kai chairs. These are said to be made in Korea, but the majority of the chair is made in China and then exported and assembled, tested, and programmed in Korea. And that's why it's said made in Korea, but the chairs are primarily, the components thereof are primarily made in China. Now, the one exception to those scenarios is the Luraco chairs. Now, Luraco is a company out of Dallas, Texas. They have massage chairs that have virtually no Chinese components. Their older models, like the iRobotics 7 and the iRobotics 7 Plus and the Legend, had a high percentage, maybe 60-70% of their chairs made in America, and the remainder of the components were made in places like Taiwan, Singapore, Malaysia, etc. But these are the only chairs that have not had any Chinese components made. Now, their new iRobotics 9 i9 Max series are even a higher percentage of American-made components, like the upholstery, the roller mechanism, the ottoman. A lot of the components are now made in their Arlington, Texas, which is a suburb of Dallas, manufacturing headquarters. And that So they say now that these chairs are 80% or more made in America. So they truly can say that they are made in America. Now, there are people that doubt those claims because there are one other massage chair company that I'm familiar with that has in the past said, oh yeah, our chairs are made in America. That is not true. The only chair that is made in America at the time of this recording are the Luraco chairs. And this chair the vast majority of it is made in America, literally made in America, with, again, some other components coming from the Far East. Including Taiwan, Malaysia, Singapore. And so I just want you to understand it's confusing because now it's not so cut and dried. Like if someone comes in and says, I want a chair that's made in Japan. Well, we don't have a chair that's made completely 100% made in Japan. I want an American-made chair. Well, the best we can give you is a chair that has 80% of its components made in America. I want a chair made in Korea. Well, these are chairs that are from a Korean company where the chairs have been assembled, assembled, tested, and programmed in Korea, but the majority of the components were made in China. So I hope that made sense. That's a question we get a lot. We get asked a lot in our showrooms. People want to know where the chairs are made. Some people don't want to buy a chair that's made in China, but it's almost impossible, next to impossible, to escape finding a chair that has some Chinese components because the cost of the parts is so much less coming from a factory in China that unless you want to pay super high costs for chairs, and the Luraco is a higher priced chair because the components are American made, you're going to have to deal with some Chinese components. And again, of course, I say Luraco doesn't have any Chinese-made components, but all the other chairs do. So you can't really escape that 100%. But you can say my chair is made in Japan because that's what the the distributor has coined for given credit to on their chairs, like the Kumo and the Oko chair I mentioned earlier. Those chairs they say are made in Japan, but it's not as cut and dried as that. But those are the kinds of things that people are looking for, and people want to know when they're looking for a massage chair. Anyways, I hope I haven't gone on too long. Sometimes I have a little verbal diarrhea and I talk too much about something that's a lot simpler than I've made it out to be. But anyways, I hope you found the video helpful. If you did, please feel free to thumbs up, like us on our YouTube channel, and of course help us spread the word about massage chairs by sharing this video or any of our videos with your friends and family through your various and sundry social media platforms. I'm Dr. Widener from Massage Chair Relief, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.